To see, what's the sequel to Last Picture Show? Texasville. And I had interviewed Jeff like 3 months before for something else, and he called and said, "Oh, you're going to see Texasville. It's the best thing I ever did." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, it's the best movie I ever did." So I walked in there and I said, "Oh my God, this is not only the best movie he ever did, it's the best movie I ever saw." And I wrote that in American Film Magazine because he had seduced me into believing that. And I wrote it in print, and he called me up hysterical. He said, "Are you crazy? You said that in print?" I mean, I think I may have said that it was better than Last Picture Show. So, I know. What?
More of a Brooklyn accent than you do. I can be the Jewish girlfriend. But I wanted to say that as a painter, I always have a particular thing that's sexy about the work, and usually mixing colors. If you look at Grace Blockman's hanging there, the strips hanging down, it's very sexy. So I wanted to know, what about acting is the sexiest part?
I can't, because Susan Bounce, nod your head. Is that Gladys sitting next to you? Yes. I can't see. Okay, so let me rephrase. Let me rephrase the question I wanted. What's the sexiest thing you've ever done on film? That's not the question. I'm sorry. What's the question?
What's sexy about making movies? Is it the interchange between people? Is it the actual sex scene? Is the camaraderie? What really is that sort of image thing that happens to you that makes you feel that way?
Well, it certainly is the collaborative process of your actors working with fellow actors on scenes, and that interchange of the living truthfully with this imaginary circumstance that is presented, and playing these parts. I mean, there's nothing more gratifying than, a lonely, when your character there's just a shot of him, walking alone. How does he walk across the street? How does he walk down the street by himself? And you're this character, and who is he? And you've dressed him, your body, all that. That to me, that to me is cinema. That's to me is sexy. To see a character in the world that's being created, and you have the great privilege of playing him and living that. Losing yourself in that world, that to me is sexy.
Don't say what he said, say something else.
I agree with everything that you said. Yeah, I mean, obviously love scenes are really awkward, I mean, you would think maybe the obvious would be sexy, but I think, yeah, I agree with Andy, it's the embodiment, if I'm coming out of the trailer playing a 1940s gangster, and I got some great hat, and I got this suit on, and I got this, great Tommy gun on me, and I'm ready to rock. There's something sexy about that. It's almost like, as a kid, I always thought of acting as like Halloween almost every day, and there was something dreamlike about that, and to be now able to be part of that process in a bigger way, where I'm not just told what to wear, or you're the number 2 guy on this thing, and you're going to wear this, or now I get to really create these characters with my directors and wardrobe designers, and that's to me the sexiest part. Love scenes are really awkward and strange. They're really not sexy usually.
Thank you very much. That was very sexy.
You'd hope they would be, but
We live for your approval.
Anybody else? Yes, over here. She's going to bring you the mic.
Hello, Andy. Hi, Stephen. This question is for Andy. You started your career out as an actor.
I went to school with her.
Yes, we went to college together.
She was also another Jewish girlfriend. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you.
You too. You started your career as an actor, and then you started directing, right? Is that right? You've
Yes.
directed a few. How did your becoming a director affect your acting? Do you like one better than the other? And
No.
when you became a director, did it change your acting?
Wait, did you date her?
No, we were just very good friends.
No, we did a lot of plays in
Yeah,
college
love plays
together.
in college.
Great actress, very fantastic actress. So, no, I had the great privilege of working with directors that taught me a lot, I directed my movie like started writing the script, it was developed in 1990, and we did it like in 2005 or something. And, but I would say my greatest, you pull from everybody, but Hal's manner is very much in the sort of in the same groove. Even Francis, it was that way. Francis was very experimental. Francis would say things. He's very much an actor's director, obviously, aside from his other, his great genius. He comes from the theater and he's very much an actor's director, and he takes a lot of time to set a scene and the mood and what's happening in the overall story. And then he gives you an opportunity to play, and he would say things. He would say, "I got something from him that I use to this day," and I've actually imparted this on other directors, and I know other people have told me that Al Pacino does the same, and Francis would do a thing called free take. He goes, "Okay, actors, free take," and basically he said that you could do whatever you want, and you didn't have to say the lines. You could do whatever you want, for him it was like to break any kind of patterns or rhythms that are going on in the scene and kind of release yourself. And then he would say things like editor's free take, which he would want you to play the beats in the scene, but no dialogue. So the editor can always cut to you whenever he wanted to. So he was very experimental that way, which was the way Hal was. So that's kind of, I would say, that's kind of my style. When I work as an actor, I try to suggest very specifically to the director that this is the way it's going to be, because I need that freedom in the character. I want to give the director as much raw material and variations on the thing as possible. And even when I'm stuck as an actor and I feel like I'm kind of stuck, right before the take, I go, "Actors, free take." People look at me and go, "What the hell is he talking about?" And they don't need to know. I just need to declare it for myself and for the thing to take the pressure off of any result that anybody's looking for. At that point, I'm not looking for any results. As Alan Arkin once said to me, he says, now I talked to him about acting. He goes, "You know what I'm doing nowadays?" He goes, I think about something that has nothing to do with anything I'm doing in this scene or in this movie. I'm thinking about something else. And when they say acting, if somebody says something to me, I go, "What?" And I begin. I don't want to think about anything. I just want to let whatever happens, happens. I don't care. And because all the work is already inside of you, so you need to not care. Because in life, you're not thinking, you have it in yourself. You walk around, you got all this stuff in your mind, in your subconscious, and then people approach you and things happen and you have reactions to it. So those are the things that acting affected my directing. And then you learn other things like, you watch Black Rain. I remember I used to watch Ridley Scott set up shots all the time and how much he used the long lens. And I would ask him what he's doing, and I would look through the lens and let me look through the lens, and I would go, "Okay, now I see what it is." And then eventually you start seeing the language. In The Godfather, I would go into dailies with Gordy Willis every day, and it was just him in the camera department and me. And I went to dailies, and I would see the manifestation of the work that we were doing through his eyes and talk to him in dailies about why he only used 2 lenses in the entire film, 40 and a 75 for close-ups and stuff like that, and how he would, what he was doing, and those things influence you. If you're interested, if you're not interested, you're out doing something else, but I was always interested in the filmmaking process, and as a director, so I took an opportunity to learn from these guys and to try to soak from them as much as I could.
So they still talking about The Godfather 4?
No, I don't think so.
I think they are. They're talking to Stephen.
Hey, I gotta be in there somewhere, even if they kill me in the first frame.
Exactly. Hey, Amy.
Hi, I'd like to know how these really interesting independent scripts find their way to you, if not through a formal offer. You were saying that you had heard about the role, you knew the script, and you went in for the filmmakers. And your project at Middleton wasn't financed, and he came to you to come on as an exec producer and also star. So how did the really interesting projects get on your radar, if not through a formal offer?
Well, I think You know, it's always different. Sometimes I've been approached directly from a filmmaker, you know, if it,
In the case of this, how did you know about this Motel Life?
Oh, Motel Life came through my agency, and it was a script that was on the bottom of my pile, you know, and it was by far the best piece of material. So again, nobody called me, and I was upset about that because it had one of my favorite young actors who I already told 10 years before, I'm gonna play your brother, starring in it, and I was like, what are you doing, you know? So I read this thing, and I was immediately like, had to, you know, call them. Because I think, you know, agencies and stuff, they have so many clients, and I think things get confused and gems can easily get lost in the hoopla of all the agendas and inner politics and all the stuff. And this was a gem that I found on the bottom of the pile. Thank God it got to my house, you know. So, and from that, then I took the charge, and I really encouraged everybody around that probably hadn't even read it yet, that this is the one I want. And I want to go and, you know, I want to meet these filmmakers. So I sit with the filmmakers, and I can kind of, just from my experience, see, oh, they want somebody else for this part, I think. They think I'm maybe not charactery enough for Jerry Lee. You know, my character in this movie is very different from how I looked in the meeting.
You're almost
You know.
unrecognizable in the first reel. I really had to go back and watch it and say, oh my God, that's Dorff from the beginning. It really, the physicality.
It's just a different, it's not the character like Andy said, which was, I think is so true. I never heard anybody say that, but if you get typecast, in a way, you'd think that's a bad thing, but it's a good thing. That means you're kind of getting offers and working is a really smart thing, but at the same time, it does trap you, because you want to do something really good in your profession, you know, whether you're the art director, the actor, the filmmaker, the musician, the composer. You know, if I play a villain really well, that's all I'm going to get offered for a while, you know, unless Sophia comes around and gives me an opportunity to be vulnerable again, which I did when I was younger. Or, you know, like Andy said, you know, all the dramatic actors, we want to do comedies and have fun, you know, and make money, and all the comedians that are making all the money want to do what we do. It's like all my friends are big comedians, and I'm always like, God, I want to do a comedy. I don't want to always die or cry. It's like, can't we just go have fun and be making a movie sometimes, you know, instead of all the heavy emotion that it takes to do that, you know. But I sidetracked again. Emil Hirsch. Help me. No, but did I answer your question? Yeah, so anyway, I found it, and then I took the charge. But it's different each time. Sometimes I would have maybe missed that, you know.
Right, but on behalf of all the filmmakers here, you know, there's so many filmmakers that have great scripts, so I just thought it was an important question, so that filmmakers know.
Yeah, I think they find out who your representatives are, and they try to get it in there somehow.
And how did you find Ed Middleton?
It came, someone in the agency read it and said, these people want to talk to you about it, a very good script. And I met with him, and it was only a great script, but I was very taken by the writer and the director. Well, they're both co-writers and the director, about just who they were as people and their idealism about making movies and who they were. And I wanted to support them. They deserved a crack, you know. They had a beautiful script, and I liked their vibe, and you know, we made a beautiful film. But I have an agent that does read, which is important. You know, this is very important, because if you have an agent with very good taste that reads, that can read everything. When I say send it to Clifford in New York, he'll read it.
Even unfinanced.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All the movies I've done that I've independently had no financing. Starting from The Man from Elysian Fields, which is a script that went to him, and he said, "You got to read the script. It's fantastic." Philip Jason Lasker, great writer. I read it, and I said, "Let's make this movie. We got to make this movie," you know. And eventually, we pieced it together, and ended up with James Coburn, one of my young childhood heroes. One of the reasons I became an actor is when I saw him in Magnificent Seven, and he came on board. And Mick Jagger, we called Mick Jagger and said, play this part, and he said, "All right." And I went, we have Mick Jagger in the movie. You know? But it all stemmed from the material. If the material's bad, nobody would be in the movie. So none of those movies are ever financed. They don't have no money, but it doesn't mean they're not great scripts. Now, I don't read them all. They do have to go through a process. They have to cut the mustard with someone that knows my taste, because I can't read everything. That's not. Now, of course, if Steven says, "I want to talk to you about a script," read it, then of course I'm going to read it because I know his taste. It's already past the mustard. But if someone from the audience says, I have a script for you, I'm going to go, send it to Clifford. You know, I'm not going to read it because I got other things I'm trying to do. I'm trying to finance a movie as we speak about Hemingway. I'm 4 years into this thing, so I got other things to think about than another movie that's unfinanced. If it cuts the mustard, believe me, it'll get to me and I'll read it for sure. But people have to respond to it, you know.
I think we have time for one more question. Hold on, let me bring you the mic. All the way against the wall. Sorry, they're making us stop after this.
Have you ever been so enmeshed in a character in one of your movies such that you had difficulty exiting that character? Like you went home and were screaming at the wife or kids or beating people or something? Was it sometimes difficult to exit?
Well, my daughter's in the back of the room there. You'll have to answer that question. I don't think she can attest. I don't think I come home and scream at anybody, but I do have difficulty, as we all do. You really never let go of the character, even when you're home. I mean, I have difficulty. I dream a lot, and I have difficulty, sleeping outside of the film. In other words, I'm always in character, even when I'm sleeping. I work a lot in dream work for my work, so it's always, my subconscious is always very much alive, and I'm sure many times, and then probably Alessandro will attest to it, and Joe, who we worked with for many years, that I could be looking at you, and you could be talking to me, I have no idea what you're saying. And my wife and my kids, they know that. They kind of go, could you pay attention to what I'm saying? You have to pick up your son at 3 o'clock. Nod when I say 3 o'clock, son.
We were only slightly more dysfunctional during City Island.
What's that?
A little bit more.
We only, when you say our family's only slightly?
During City Island we were just a little bit more dysfunctional. We went one step up.
Oh, for me? There's been a few roles some roles are different than others, and some are harder to leave, some are easier for me to kind of step out of. But, the hardest thing for me is sometimes when you're really connected to a character and then the movie ends, it's always a weird, and that was, it's just like it all stops, the character stops, the clothes are gone, it's like, well, what have I been doing for the last 3 months? Where'd he go, And then what's interesting is you know that character better than you know yourself a little bit at that point, so you get time to like pick up Steven or Andy in the corner and come back to reality until like the next journey, and that's the kind of exciting.
Also, the character has forced you to open certain doors in your own psyche that you have to address, that's been in there.
Yeah.
And sometimes that could be great, joyful, and sometimes it's extremely painful.
Yeah, you have to then close those doors, and unless you want to start living your character's life in real life, which probably could end up with some problems. Certain characters I've played.
Yeah.
I'm sure Andy's played, so it's an interesting thing. It's in a way it's a beautiful thing because you can leave. Like for me, I've actually thought it was great therapy in ways sometimes to go into a character because I can kind of like give myself a break in a way, But then at the end of the movie, you got to pick yourself up again and do some homework then to get out of. It's an interesting. It's such a crazy
Jeff
job.
Bridges once said to me, calls them the bad guy blues.
Yeah.
He said, hey man, you got the bad guy blues, right? Yeah, I know.
Well, listen, I could do this all year, and we could just pick up next year, but they're giving me that signal. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi, Stephen. I'm Ian from SUNY New Paltz.
Hey.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, you're here with your movie Motel Life.
Yeah.
How has the audience reception been of that?
Last night was awesome. It was we played in this old movie theater, which is I guess a church, and now it's a movie theater, and it was very intimate, very powerful. Everybody stayed for the Q&A, which is always cool. I always see if one person leaves, not one person left, so that's a good sign. And the movie really speaks for itself. I hope everybody just responds. Today there's a screening too, and I have a screening in New York tonight, so I'm going to be going to that one because I have to be at that one. But yeah, it's one of my favorite movies I think I've ever made. So I hope people like it. Yeah.
Great. You set up on stage that you'd like to do more comedies, and just watching the panel, you can tell that you have a quick wit and good timing. When can we expect you in a comedy?
I don't know. When they wake up to my sense of humor, I don't know. I have no idea. But maybe I'll write my own. I don't know. But I'd love to do comedy. It's just always that thing, you know. I'm good friends with Adam Sandler, and every time Adam sees one of my movies, he's like, I love that movie. I love that movie. And then I'm always like, I want to be in one of your movies. I want to do something funny and silly. But I always end up doing the serious shit. So.
Okay, now the motto of the Woodstock Film Festival seems to be fiercely independent. What does being fiercely independent mean to you?
I guess just being true to who you are inside and your choices and what you want to do, and you know, always following your path. You know, that's kind of, whether it's the filmmaker's vision or whether it's you as an actor. It's like, what characters do I want to play? Who do I want to work with? You know, and just being true to you, having your own voice. That's really being independent to me, and having the freedom to do that. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, ready? One more? A goofy one?